And good morning. This is Mike Lodge. I am the business advisor. Well, it's morning for me anyway. I don't know what time of the day you're listening to this podcast, but it's morning for me. And it's a cloudy morning, and the clouds are coming in, and it looks like it's going to rain. I tell you, we have had so much rain here in California that everything is so bright and green. But that's nice. I like it. I'm not complaining, but it's just we have spent a lot of indoor days because of the rain. You know, I'm sitting and I'm working on a lot of business tax returns at the moment. And as I'm working on it, and I'm looking at how they're using their cash flow, I would say that a good portion of the businesses I am working on, there is a lot of money being spent on lunches and dinners and stuff like that. I mean, it is in the thousands of dollars per month. I've seen them go up to $3,000, $4,000 on a monthly basis just eating out. Now, there are special rules tax-wise on those meal allowances and how they're used and who was there. But the problem is that we are overspending. Food is probably the most highest inflationary item that we have at the moment, and people are spending money on food every single day thinking, well, it's tax deductible. But in actuality, it's not that much tax deductible because you have a certain percentage that you've got to only allow. And some of it you can't even allow depending on what the meeting was for or what the dinner was for. But listen, when I had my companies going to, at one point in time I had 4 companies running at the same time. And I overdid on the lunches and the dinners. In fact, at one point in time, it came up to almost $25,000 that I had spent on lunches. Once I saw that number, I cut it out right then. And now that food is the most expensive item because of inflation, and as of a couple more days from now, on April 1st, it would be April 1st, right? April Fool's Day, only because fools have voted for this law. Minimum wage in fast food places goes up to $20 per hour. So you have to sit back and think, okay, how much can I save by fixing my own lunch and taking it? Now, there will be special things that you will need to go out to dinner or lunch with a client or with an employee to discuss business. But you don't need to do it every single day. You don't need to do it for breakfast. You don't need to do it for lunch. You don't need to do it for dinner every single day. You have to be conservative on how you're spending your money, because if you're spending it on inflationary items, you're driving up the cost for you doing business as well. You have to look at those things. If you're not looking at how you're spending your money, you're in big trouble, because now you're just wasting money. And wasted money a lot of times drives companies into BK, bankruptcy, or insolvency, or you just have to shut it down altogether. So you have to be very careful about how you're using your money in today's business environment, an economic environment. Because listen, you and I, we just don't have that much cash anymore. And if you're laying people off because you can't afford it anymore, look at how you're spending your money. Look at how you're spending it. How are you traveling? What cost-effective methods are you using? Are you looking at the sources and use of your cash? Every CEO an owner of a business should be sitting down and looking at how are they spending their money. Now, some of you don't want to. You just want to ignore the thing and pass it on to your tax practitioner, hoping that he's going to work something out on your tax return. Well, I'm telling you right now that these tax rules regarding meals allowances is tougher now. Can you imagine spending $10,000 on lunches and dinners and only be able to take 50% of it? And maybe even less than that, depending on what that lunch or dinner was for. Because there are rules on that. So in this economic recession that we are currently in, and yes, I'm calling it a recession because we are in a recession, we have to be careful about how we spend our money. We have to be good stewards of our money. You know, I've talked about that so many times on podcasts, on being good stewards of our money on a personal finance basis, but it also applies to our businesses. Because if you're spending $10,000 on lunches and dinners, you could probably have given someone a raise for that $10,000 that deserved it. You could have bought that new machine that you need to process your work. It might have been able to replace a few computers that you need to be replaced because they're so old, or update your software because you're running on old systems. There's so much money, there's so much ways that you can spend your money wiser for the company than going out for lunch and dinner and breakfast and snacks and Starbucks. It goes on and on. Learn to manage your money wiser. If you need help, let me know. We'll sit down and we'll go through your financial statements and we'll scrub the numbers. This is Mike Lodge. I am the business advisor. I'll talk with you soon. Bye-bye.